Earlier this week, I made a post on my personal Instagram and Twitter pages stating that people should have their BCP and documentation reviewed given the situation with Russia and Ukraine. The question came back, well, what is BCP and what is DR? And I'm going to tell you right now, DR does not stand for Dominican Republic. We're going to talk about that and a bit more in this video. Hey, my name is Kenny, and I run Robinson Handy and Technology Services based in Montgomery, Alabama. The point of this video is to discuss BCP and DR documentation or plans. BCP stands for Business Contingency Planning or Business Continuity Planning, depending on who you ask, and DR stands for Disaster Recovery. Both of these documents are to mitigate risk to a business and make sure that the business can get back up and running. These are more so not necessarily required, but you should have them like you have a business plan. And so let's start with BCP. So as I mentioned, BCP is the Business Continuity or Business Contingency Plan. What does that mean? That means you have a document that outlines a number of aspects of your business, and it explains what happens or what should happen in a given circumstance and how can you make sure that the business keeps running if the unexpected happen. Now I'm going to go ahead and let you know now, because I've done this from a technical perspective or an IT perspective, a lot of IT related examples I will probably be using, but I'm going to try to relate it to other industries to be more generalized instead of specific to IT. Now with the BCP for application that I supported in the past, the way that document was set up or structured, and this is not in any particular order, but basically you had a single Word document, and in that Word document it outlined the names of the servers because this application was hosted on premises. And so it listed the names of the servers that, or the applications that this application interfaced with, and a whole bunch of other information, how long the application could be down, who is or are the points of contacts in basically every aspect. So if there's a database, who's the database contact? If there's an app server, who's the app server contact? The contacts for the interfacing systems, and a whole lot more. Now, you're probably asking, well, what's the interfacing system? Basically, if you have, let's say you have a system that manages your accounting or an accounting software. I'm not going to call any particular products, but you have the idea. And your accounting software connects to your invoicing software. And based on the invoicing data comes into your accounting software and is logging everything. And then your accountant has their own software. So your accounting software sends out data to your accountant. In this scenario, your invoicing software and your accountant are two different interfaces to your accounting software. That being said, if your accounting software were to go down, how long could your business continue to function with those other two systems waiting on data or pending data to be sent? For a lot of people, depending on how you set up your billing, it could be a week. For some people, it could be the end of the month. For some systems, like at a bank, you probably want that transaction to go through at the end of the day, every business day. That being said, that piece of information goes in. So who is the producer of data that comes to this particular system? Who is the consumer of data that comes to this system? If they are expecting data by a certain time, like your accountant is probably expecting data by the second day of the month, second calendar day of the month, you need to put that in your business continuity plan. If your invoicing system generates a report every day and sends it to your accounting system, you need to put that in your business continuity plan. If your accounting system generates a report for your executive staff, you need to put that in your business continuity plan. Why? Because those things are critical to making sure that the business continues running. Also in this BCP plan, if there are significant issues with the accounting software, could this be done by another means? That being said, could you just pull out pen and paper, manually do the calculations, manually generate the reports, manually send that data to your accountant? If it can be, put that in there. If it can't be, put that in your plan too. You need to have everything in that plan. That way, that document is a single resource for a given circumstance. Now, I would suggest that, and based on my IT experience, we had to do these document revisions or updates or reviews, however you want to phrase it, once per year. Now, they got to a point where they were actually doing them every time an application had an update, that the BCP and DR documentation were to be at least reviewed, if not updated. But you don't necessarily have to do that. But I will say, at a minimum, once per year, review DR documentation, BCP documentation for everything that you have, not just one part and so forth. And the reason being is because companies change, move stuff around all the time. They switch service providers. They add applications. They add social media accounts. All of this information changes. And if you're not keeping it up to date at least once a year, you're going to fall behind, and then something's going to happen. A person's going to quit. A computer that has all this information, the logins stored, is going to fail. Something's going to happen, and then you're going to go look for that document, and the document is out of date. You're going to be SOL. All right. Second, the DR, disaster recovery. What does the disaster recovery plan state? In this short, a disaster recovery plan would be utilized. Let's say you have a data center and your website, your internal applications, whether it's accounting, invoicing, whatever it is all in the same data center. That data center gets hit by a tornado, is leveled. Your business had everything in that data center. How do you recover from that disaster? The DR plan is where that comes into place. Do you have backups of your data? Where are those backups? How frequently are those backups being taken? Who has access to restore those backups? Do you have another data center that your business can transition to or switch to and be brought back online and continue working? All of these things go into a DR plan. And like I say, I'm speaking from an IT perspective, but this could be any other thing. This could be if you are a delivery business and your vehicle has has slung a rod. All right. Your vehicle has to be in the shop. Do you have another backup plan or disaster recovery plan in that case? Or a business contingency plan in that case to get it out, get your delivery still going. If a tornado hits your town and destroys your delivery vehicle, do you have a disaster recovery plan? Can you go somewhere else and rent another delivery vehicle or a vehicle that will suit your purpose? Will your insurance be fast enough to get you back and running your business? These are things that you have to include in your DR and BCP plans. Now, when it comes to both of these plans, there are a number of things that you need to do. Like I mentioned, you need to update both of them at least once per year, or at least review them, because if nothing changes, there's nothing to update. But you need to review them once per year. You need to have multiple copies of them. If your DR plan and BCP plans are on a single server and that single server gets blown away by a tornado, you have no DR and BCP plan that you can look at. That being said, you need to have one in a central location that everybody can access, but then you need to also have copies of that, let's say on your personal laptop or your work laptop or whatever the case may be, and maybe a couple of coworkers have a copy of that same plan on their laptops. And that way, if your data center gets blown away, unless your data center and you are in the same city, which I would not advise, you're going to have a copy of those plans and you can review those plans and make all your calls, get everything back up and running, and your business doesn't significantly suffer as much of an impact as if you didn't have any of those plans in place. Now, from a small business perspective, I have a BCP plan set up, not necessarily a DR plan. In some ways, it could be considered a DR plan, but not necessarily. So for a BCP plan, when it comes to the business website, I have it set up in version control. Now, the version control software is basically anytime there's a change made to the website, that change is logged and sent over to another party separate from where the website is hosted. That being said, if the website host, which I know they do, the website host that I have, they make backup copies of the files on their servers, and they do internal, what they call replication or backups within their network so that they have copies of it. But in the worst case scenario, let's say that that hosting service provider decides today, we're going out of business. Good luck getting your stuff. Well, I have backup copies in my version control, and so that version control I can pull from there, go to another hosting provider, spin up a new site with the existing code that I have in a matter of minutes. All right. Not everybody plans in that manner, especially when you have a hosting provider that you are like you have somebody managing your website. And a lot of times the people that are managing the website don't necessarily give you the data to, or the username, logins, whatever the case may be, to be able to maintain your own website. And then something happens to them, your website is lost in the wind because they had full control over everything and you have none of those credentials. That's a bad idea. From a disaster recovery perspective, I don't necessarily have all of these things in place, but I could come up with a disaster recovery plan because, like I say, my hosting provider I know where the hosting provider is on the East Coast, but in the worst case scenario, I can go find another hosting provider that's on the West Coast, set up everything over there using my version control, and boom, everything will be running fairly quickly. I can probably get it done in maybe 15 to 20 minutes. Not every business person can do that, but the faster you can get that presence back online, the faster that things will, the less impact on your business that it will have. Now, another question you may have is, well, how long should a BCP be? How long should it be a DR plan be? That is up to you. You need to include every bit of information. I would say at least the contacts for whatever it is. So in the scenario of hosting a website or hosting a business specific application, you need to have the contacts for that application. So if you're paying somebody to maintain it for you, you need to have that contact information. Who is the hosting provider? Like if it's InMotion, if it's AWS, if it's Azure, you need to have that information, account numbers, all of that stuff. You still need to keep it secure. Don't put it on the open internet. So stick it in an email account or something of that nature, but you need to have it all documented. And that way your business is not significantly impacted. If it is impacted, it should be minimum downtime in that regard. Hopefully this answers and gives a little bit of clarity of what BCP is and what DR is. If you have any questions, please leave those down below. Thank you for watching. Till next time, peace.